Okay, so now we're going to be looking again using the same concept, the concept of bunting, but in this situation it's something a little bit more permanent, might involve a little bit more time, going back to your design stage then and using the design template, thinking about all the different ways you might use this, because when you put effort into making these, and Anna's going to show you now, these are something you can have for years and you can really use them, and they're a really nice memory of maybe a time or an event, and some of the fabric that Anna's going to talk about. But this is a great thing to go around maybe your house, look at old clothes that you're not wearing anymore, or maybe if you're a little bit older now, some clothes from when you were younger, because you can cut up fabric to make these. And again, you might make these using a sewing machine, and Anne might maybe explain a little bit around that, but you can make them, and Anna's going to demonstrate now, without a sewing machine, no problem at all. But again, for school, I'd love to see these made in our school colours. So it's something that you might do as part of an activity with a class group for your school. You might do it maybe using the colours of your favourite team or somebody you follow. You might maybe use, so again, it's really up to you, but in this context, whereas these ones we've made are not really permanent, they're more of a simple activity. Now if you put a huge amount of creative expression into them, they absolutely might be something that you keep. Or you could make a much smaller version of it, and it's something you could frame, which could be really nice. So maybe making a version with each member of your family and a really small version of the triangles, and then framing that up can be, again, a really, really nice gift for somebody, something that you put a lot of thought and creativity into, but something that's very personal to you or your own area of interest. So I'll hand over to you, Anne.
Great, thanks Billy. Again, like Billy said, we're really using the template that we've used with the paper, but we're just going to use fabric instead. Now I have fabric that I bought fat squares, so they're really just small amounts of fabric, and they're ideal actually for cutting it up. But likewise, you can actually take other fabric that you might have at home and just cut it up into the diamond shape. Like we have a pattern here, so that's what we're calling it, it's just our pattern. And again, you can make these as small or as big as you want. And really you just need some pins like that, alright? And all you want to do is you're just going to pop it on. You try and waste as little fabric as you can. You'll notice here that there'll be cut-offs there of triangles again, which can be saved to use for something else. So all you want to do is you want to very simply just pin the pattern to the fabric. Because that will make, Billy spoke earlier on about them all being the same size, you know, and that with the fabric, because I suppose it's not as disposable if you make a mistake with the paper. With the fabric, you want to make sure that they're all similar size to what you actually want for the bunting. And after that, then once they're cut out, I'm using a pinking shears today because I'm not actually going to sew them. So the pinking shears, you get those in any good craft shop. Some of the discount stores have them, but they have a zigzag on them. You see the teeth? So that actually prevents the fabric from unraveling. So once you cut it out, you get this zigzag shape all the way around, and therefore you're not going to get any unraveling. So therefore you can use fabric glue to make them. Now again, we spoke about challenges earlier on. You know, if you want to move this on a little bit and maybe you are competent in using a sewing machine or a needle and thread, you can actually stitch them. But for today, we're actually going to use the glue. So you'd cut that out, so you'd have it pinned down like that, and you'd cut out as many as you want. Now I've some done already here, and there I've already glued them. I'm using, I just give Hannah thanks a million, just by binding. Okay, and again, that's just because it's easy to stick on. Alright, and all I've done is glued it, and I'll show you that now in a second. But likewise, you could, if you wanted to, use even the twine that Billy had used earlier on for the paper versions. So while I'm cutting out that one there, I'm actually going to get Billy and Hannah to embellish, because that's one of the things that you can do with the fabric ones, is that you can actually embellish them. Now we can embellish them using our glue and the bits and pieces we have around here, but likewise, if you're able to do cross stitching or embroidery or anything, or sewing on buttons, we had little love heart buttons earlier on, you could use those as well. You could use it for a bedroom decoration. You could use them as a birthday gift for somebody. And likewise, you could actually do them seasonally, depending, you know, for Halloween, because you can get the fabric for Halloween, for Christmas, whatever the occasion might be. And I suppose when we're talking about sustainability as well, I suppose having them that we keep and take out again, you know, rather than making and throwing away, there is that element to it. And we're going to look at tie-dyeing later on, and a really creative way of using your tie-dyeing fabric is actually to make your own buntings out of it. So just keeping that in the back of your mind for later on. Okay, so if you, yeah. So if I let you do that, and I'll just cut this out here.
What's different about bias binding yarn compared to the normal fabric? Is it just
the stretch? There's a stretch in it, but also you'll notice that it gives you more space to glue it on.
Okay.
If you were stitching it, again, it would make it easier because you'd have this. You wouldn't have to be putting a seam in it because you would already had it there.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it just makes it neater. But likewise, you can use the string, you know, or wool if you don't have bias binding. And you could use the wool either to do that, you know, and just put it on the way that the paper one is done with the string, just put it over the wool, you know.
And I know you were going to be doing some cross stitch and some embroidery.
Yeah.
If you were to do that, would you do the embroidery piece before you make this up?
It probably would be better to do that, like, but I mean, if you have it done, you can still work on it. You can see there, I mean, you're able to work on it even though it's put together. Do you know what I mean? So it would very much depend. Again, the different fabrics that you can buy. Another really good one that you could use actually is felt.
Okay.
Right, and felt, obviously you can cut felt without actually having to stitch it, and it's not going to ravel as well. So that would be another option that you could use, and maybe, Hannah, you know, with younger kids, the felt might be a better option than maybe the fabric.
It's definitely easier to cut as well for younger kids too. Yeah, and the unraveling might be, and I think that it's important as well to keep in mind sensory issues around this kind of activity as well, especially when you're using different kinds of fabrics. So you could do kind of an exploratory activity before you even started with the fabric to see what fabric the young person or the child likes and which ones they don't like, because you don't want to present them with something that they feel that they can't touch or they don't like the sound of or anything like that.
Yeah. And I suppose this is all just cotton, you see, so I suppose that where we haven't really got anything with too much texture on it, but like you said, you could, if you had older, if you had cushions at home, or you had a rug, or you had a blanket from, let's say, when a kid was small, a baby, you could actually cut that out and use it, do you know what I mean? So you could do it that way as well and create the memories, as it were, from it. So all you have to do then after that looks great, guys, is we just take I'm just going to put it around here now, sorry a second. And we have I should have mentioned this fabric glue, which is really useful. We have the spray glue as well, but that tends to wet the fabric a little bit too much. So probably the Pritt stick version of the fabric glue is probably a better option for you. So when you turn it over like this, right, you'll see there, okay, all I've done there is, what am I on? I'm on a stripe. So again, like the paper one, all you're going to do is glue it like that.
If you were using felt, would you just cut the triangle, not the diamond?
You could do that, yeah, you could do that.
Make it stretch a bit further? Yeah,
you could, absolutely, yeah. Because that's true, because the reason we're doing that is so that we have colour on both sides, because although obviously one side is prettier than the other. But with the felt, obviously that wouldn't make any difference, so yeah, the fabric would go a little bit longer for us with that one. And again, all you're going to do is just glue it on like that. And just give it a few minutes to actually stick before you actually hang it up. Now you can get fabric, like Billy was talking earlier on about, Harry Potter or Star Wars, or if a student has a particular interest, you can actually get the fabric in fat squares for all Disney, the Star Wars, the Harry Potter, Lego, any of those. So if a child has a real interest in one of those areas, it's actually a really good way of getting them to engage with that, And basically you can make this as small or as long as you want, and again, I've got a pattern going on there, but you don't have to. It could literally be whatever piece of fabric you have to actually put it together. So it's really simple, and it's just a step on from that one really. And the step up from that then, and the challenge would be obviously to use the sewing machine and to actually use the stitches.
And also, if you want to practice hand stitching, You could do a really simple running stitch along the top to maybe make it that little bit more secure.
Yeah.
But again, if you're thinking about doing any of the needlework side of it, you have to be really careful that you practice, that you're using safe needles, that maybe you're really not putting yourself in a situation where you're likely to hurt yourself. So same with a sewing machine, you know, we would use sewing machine in home economics classrooms all the time, but only with supervision, only when you've practiced. Because it's really important that you challenge yourself, but you don't put yourself in any situations where you're likely to maybe hurt yourself or get a little bit of a needle or anything like that.
And again, that would be a skill, you know, that would be something that you would have to learn. It's not something that you can just pick up the needle and thread now and off you go. So absolutely, but again, you know, sometimes if you have that interest, or maybe in secondary school they may have done home economics, so they may have the skills with regard to the needle and thread as well.
And the other thing just to mention, because we're talking a lot about using glue, we're always just talking about using child-friendly, safe glue, a glue stick, Pritt stick, never super glue. Never use super glue in these situations because you're more likely to cause injury and it can burn your skin. So you have to be really, really careful when using glues that you're using them in a safe and appropriate way.
Yeah.
Will we put, give me the scissors, the pinking, I just cut off the end.
Off that end there,
And again, when you're using a pinking shears, it's only for fabric, so you don't use it for paper, because if you use it for paper, it'll blunt it, and it's important. So you can see then you can see one against the other, so not to diminish the beautiful work that happened earlier on, but you can see just the difference as you maybe put a little bit more effort into it, you use some fabric. But again, I'd really encourage you, I suppose, you know, we've created them so that they're uniform, but these look really amazing when you create loads of different ones. When you maybe have different shapes, they don't have to be uniform, they could be different sizes, different fabrics. You could use a really nice white plain fabric and then write on them using fabric pens, which you can buy, again in craft shops, so you can draw and write on the fabric. So again, it's an expression of your own area of interest, your creativity, your skills and your talents. And if you put more time and effort into it, when Anna's doing the cross stitch with you later on in the challenge program, you can really do some absolutely lovely work using a really, really simple basic cross stitch for making.
And the vice binding actually comes in all different colours. I just happen to have the blue one, or the navy one, but you can get all different, like you can get white like you were saying. And then you could actually write on it after that if you wanted to do that. Do you know what I mean? Or your motivational piece can go along the white vice binding. Or
you might do one, let's say, with your name on it, or as a gift for a family member. So you might have just the letters of B-I-L-L-Y on it. So again, and that can be written, it can be, you could embroider it on, but you could also actually cut it with felt and then stick it on top of the fabric as well. So it's really up to you how creative and how much effort you want to put into your bunting. But again, we really look forward to see it and make sure you share it with us. And we're going to move on to our next piece of work now.